Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Alex Shvarts. Alex, excited to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Yes, absolutely excited to have you on and talk about all the awesome things that you're doing. And of course, before we do that, I have to read a little bit more about Alex so you can hear about some of those awesome things. And Alex is the CEO of FundKite, a leading fintech funding platform serving over 200,000 small businesses across the country. FundKite offers business funding solutions across a variety of industries and has a pulse on the small business needs, capital needs, and amid an uncertain economic outlook. And FundKite, I was reading, takes pride in their straightforward, transparent approach that considers businesses' big picture, not just their credit score. And one of the really cool things I saw that they've offered over 900 million in funding for small businesses across the nation. And one of the really cool quotes I read from Alex is he said, "Business is never just about business. It's a people game, and you need to be able to read others and their body language if you want to make smart decisions with your money. If you're considering investing in business, look beyond the company and into the industry and their employees." So Alex, excited to have you on the show. Are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, let's get it started then. So to kind of kick everything off, let's rewind the clock a little bit, hear a little bit more on how you got started, what I call your CEO story.
So me and a few friends, we saw a really unique opportunity. It's going to be, I think, 9 years next month.
Wow.
We saw a unique opportunity where a new segment of the funding industry started to develop, which was called revenue-based finance. And we saw an opportunity for twofold opportunity. One, as a serial entrepreneur, there's always been this challenge of trying to get funding from a bank, getting a loan from a bank, and it's hard, it's tough. So there was this new segment where it wasn't a bank loan, and it involved fintechs to provide business funding, right, to small and medium-sized businesses. And second, as any entrepreneur, you want to get into something with the hope of making money. Right. So it was a twofold thing: solving a problem, helping others, and while doing that, be able to make money doing it for simple terms. Right. The industry, it's important to understand what we do, and I'd like to get into it quickly.
Yeah.
So what we do is it's called revenue-based finance, and we purchase a business's future account receivables. They're receivables, so kind of their future sales, right? Mm-hmm. And we provide a lump sum of money today to the business owner, and we're going to collect the receivables we purchased over a period of time. And the way that we collect those receivables that we purchased is based on the sales, right? So as the business generates sales, a portion of those sales will be remitted to us until we collect the receivables we purchased, right? Now, how do we do that? That's important. We look at business cash flow. How does one operate a business? That's the most important thing to us, right? So we don't work with startups because there's no historical sales. So we require at least 6 months in business. We're going to go through your bank statements, look at your cash flow. That's the most important thing to us. So how do you generate sales? How long you're in business, what industry you're in. There are certain industries that are restricted for us because of the volatility. But so we'll look at that. Credit is not important, is not a deciding factor to us, right? So while we do look at some credit factors, that's not going to make our decision. In fact, most of the people that apply to us have, sub credit. It could be below 600 or around that range. And why do they come to us is because banks are purely credit driven. Right. You first of all, let's agree on one thing. I'm a little older than you, Gresh. And I remember a time, right, when, you knew your banker, right? Like you walk into your bank. Good morning, Alex. How are you? And bankers were relationship driven, right? Today, banks are mostly run and operated by a much younger generation. They're not relationship driven. They're bookworms, right? Mm-hmm. And they've been taught that you need to have this, and this, and there's a bunch of algorithms. It's like a credit card. You go and apply for a credit card. You put your information in. There's an algorithm. It spits out you're approved or you're declined, and if approved, for how much, right? So that's all credit driven. That's not how you can underwrite or provide capital for a business. First, You got to look at the cash flow. How are they operating the business? I always say this. You could take a look at two, let's say McDonald's. You could look at McDonald's in the middle of New York City, and you can look at McDonald's in Oshkosh. They're both McDonald's, two different owners, two different cost of operating, two different markets, labor, customers, everything. And most important, two different people running the business, right? So no two businesses are alike, even if they're doing a similar thing, right? So it's underwriting the cash flow, the history of the business, and speaking to the business owner, understanding what they're doing, how are they doing it. And that's, I think, where the difference between us and how we approach it. Look, we speak to every business owner. We want to understand, what do they need the capital for? What are they going to do with it? How are they operating the business? It is a little time consuming, but we've got the process down. We can fund the business as fast as the merchant or the business owner provides us the information we need. There's a really big human element in all of this.
Yeah, I appreciate you expounding upon that and exactly like how that process goes, what that looks like. And I always say we forget about the human aspect of business. So the word that was popping in my mind was kind of like looking at things holistically and seeing how to make decisions. And I imagine just, what typically happens when people are looking for funding, the credit score plays such a big part, I imagine, in kind of making or breaking whether that decision is for the business owner to get that funding, whatever it might be. But it sounds like you all don't necessarily ignore that, but look at the holistic part of the business, the industry, just all those different factors that which also do have a really big influence on success or not so much success.
Yep. Look, there's a struggle out there right now, right? I want to say this. There's a struggle for entrepreneurs to live their dreams. And this is America, right? Like, we've been built on people coming up with ideas, implementing them, and giving it a shot, right? There's only so much you can do by going to family and friends, right? At some point, you need some real financial help to grow your business, right? Now, look, let's talk about people who come to us, right? So we don't do startups. So it's usually someone that has a problem today. Now, the problem could be a good problem. The problem could be a bad problem. A good problem is, I'm a restaurant. I want to take the space next door. I want to expand. I need $300,000, and I don't really have anywhere. I'm making money. I'm generating revenue, but the banks don't care because my credit criteria doesn't fit them. So that's a good problem. The bad problem, I'm a restaurant. My oven just cracked. It broke. It exploded. I need to get a new oven. I can't get equipment financing fast enough. The distributor's ready to deliver and install the oven so I can make my pizza for my customers. What do I do? And we can get you the money in 4 hours, right? So there's good problems. There's bad problems. Now, there are worse problems. And the worst problem is that, and I say this a lot to entrepreneurs, is they don't know when to quit, right? So sometimes, look, you're trying to do your dream, you built your business, but it's just not working. You continue to lose money. It's not going where it needs to go. And there are times when you need to quit, right? I say this phrase that emotions are 90% of your failure. Right? People get very emotional about their business or their passion, right? But you've got to take a step back and analyze, is what I'm doing right? Or get some guidance or get some help. Speak to people like myself, not just about money, but, look, we've worked with over 200,000 merchants so far. Merchants, what I mean by merchants is business owners, right? Over 200,000. We've seen it all. We've looked at, from restaurants to doctors to car dealerships, you name it. We've seen it. We know how to look at these businesses. And there's a lot of people out there. So what I don't believe in is, going to, one of those theaters where there's this guru that tells you how to live your life. And, you pay $300. And if you go listen to him, your life's going to change. I don't believe. I've been asked to do that. I won't do that. I do speak to people that are business owners that need some guidance or help. I'd love to help people. There's money isn't everything in this world. There's a lot more that needs to be done. So, talk to people who understand. Talk to someone maybe who's your competitor that's really built a much bigger business than yourself. Most people will tell you, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. There's nothing wrong with it. And there's certainly, when I was growing up, I didn't have this, but we have internet today. There's so much you could learn, but you got to weed out, you can't just look at the reels on Instagram, everybody promising you the world, right? You've got to spend some time, read some good books and get knowledge, talk to people, and that will make a big difference. But it's all out there. But going back to what I said, there's a reality, and reality has to be, is this working? So you have to have a plan, you have to have a time frame, and you can't look, sometimes you need to go with something else. I've seen entrepreneurs fail 50 times before they succeed. That's okay. Don't give up. Just keep doing it. Keep at it, right? You will find what works best for you and how to deliver it. Sorry, I can go on and on. I'm very passionate about all this, and so you got to stop me, Gresham.
No, I want you to go on and on and on. You're in the right place, and this is exactly what we're here for, and I appreciate that. And no, that almost makes me wonder. Like I was going to ask you a little bit more about what I call your secret sauce. It could be for yourself individually, the business, or a combination of both. But I almost wonder if you mentioned I guess I don't know if the old school or the traditional might be a better way to say it. Way that people provided funding or opportunities was to look at all those numbers, the data, and all that to make decisions. But I almost feel like you have that fire, that passion that we can hear, but also being able to understand that it's not just one aspect that will make or break a business. Do you feel like having that holistic perspective, understanding, and even just caring so much about it is part of what sets you all apart and makes it unique?
Yeah. So look, the passion is important. Knowledge is very important. And then really breaking it down. To this day, we have a lot of employees here and developers and programmers. But to this day, I'm very much involved in all of our algorithms and how we put this together to be able to review these applications much faster. Right. I still write code every day, and I'm very actively involved. I'm one of those CEOs that gets in and, first I'll go make the coffee in the kitchen, mop the floors, and I still do all of that. That hasn't changed. The secret sauce for me is having my pulse on what we do, interacting with every team member, department heads, and really being involved. And, to this day, there's so many merchants that I will get on the phone to and speak with our underwriting department. Right. And look, a lot of people are scripted. I'm certainly not. Rarely will I prepare for a conversation with a business owner, because we understand the questions we need to ask, but the conversation will take it where it needs to go, right? And business owners that are passionate are very comfortable talking about what they're doing. Right. So the conversation will lead itself to a lot of transparency and give us the insight. Look, I don't know what my secret sauce is. I mean, it's probably just not being able to quit. Right. I think the drive that I have is a little ADHD, like a little insanity. Right. It's the drive in me. I don't spend enough time, playing tennis, or I don't golf. I don't know. I don't do enough leisure stuff for myself, because I'm really spending a lot of hours doing what I do. And that's what I should be, to balance my life. And I'm trying, and my family's all over me. I'm trying. But my secret sauce is not giving up, just constantly at it. Trial and error, keep looking at, okay, if something didn't work, why didn't it work? Trying to figure things out. While I rely on other people, I need to understand why. I ask the questions. I have these, I'm constantly talking to myself, right? What am I missing here? And research and stuff like that. I was on another podcast, and somebody said, what's your favorite book? What's the last business book you read? I didn't have an answer, because while books will give you a lot of knowledge, look, for me, it's always been hands-on, trial and error, understanding what we do. And that's what worked for me. So I am reading a lot of books now, but only because it's my leisure. I don't believe that at my stage and where I am, the books are going to give me the guidance that I need. It's more of what we're doing that's guiding me every step of the way.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, and it sounds more like you should be writing the book as well too, because you have those 9 hours, all that experience, all that knowledge that you're able to have those conversations. But I imagine being able to kind of have that together would also be extremely powerful as well.
You know what else I do? I'll go out.
Hmm.
Let's say I go to a restaurant and eat,
Hmm.
right? And I'll talk to the manager of the restaurant. I could be social most of the time. I'm not going to ask just how you're doing. I'm going to ask how's your business,
Hmm.
right? What if it's a very successful restaurant that I'm in that's hard to get into, I'm going to look around and see why are they successful? What is this steakhouse doing different than the steakhouse I went to that was empty? Right? What is it? Is it the food? Is it the ambience? Is it the people? Is it the hype they create? Right? And you could do the same thing with an auto dealer or a clothing store, any brand. What is it? And so people go out to eat to socialize and drink and eat and laugh. I do that, but on top of it, I'm looking around. I'm observing what is going on here that makes a difference. If I walk into a coffee shop to grab a cup of coffee, what's going on there, right? Why does this place have a line and that big place with the green canopy, no longer has a line, right?
Hmm.
Like, what is it about this? Is it the personality of the people? Coffee's coffee, right? Like, if we think about it, coffee's coffee. And, while there's a lot of variations that you can pay $30 for in a cup of coffee, at the end of the day, yeah, taste matters, but what else is going on there? And that's what I pay attention to, right? If I look at ads, right? If I don't watch much TV, but if I do and I see an ad, what is it about that ad that's appealing? And how can I use that knowledge and apply it to what I'm doing, right, in our business? Okay. So, look, to the young entrepreneurs, figure out if you're really solving a problem, right? Like, what are you doing that's different, that's going to make a difference, right? Then figure out how you're going to get that message out. How are people going to learn that what you're doing, that your coffee's better than the green canopy on the corner, right?
Hmm.
And then now figure out how you're going to manage that, because managing your budgets and the way you run a business is critical to your success, right? Look, a lot of entrepreneurs underestimate. They assume that, oh, this is so good, I'm going to be making money by the second month, right? Well, whatever you assume, times it by six,
Hmm.
right? So if you assume you're going to make money in 2 months, make it 12 months and figure out how am I going to survive those 12 months, right? Whatever you assume, time, whatever, um, how should I say this? Whatever you feel you're going to need, times it by six. I've
Hmm.
made the same mistakes. All right. I mean, every entrepreneur does. Look, there's some lucky guys out there that wrote, that wrote some social media platform and it was the first and it hit, right? Nobody's writing another Google, right? There's going to be no other Google, right? I mean, they're going to, so that's one out of 500 million people that are blessed like that. I'm not blessed like that, right? So, and most of us aren't, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that we can't create something that's going to be awesome. Just figure out your plan, figure out your time. What if I'm wrong here? What if I'm wrong there? I am a very good chess player, right? And so I'm
Hmm.
playing mental chess all the time, right? Chess is about not just making a move, but analyzing. I'm going to make this move. The opponent's going to make, if he does this move, what am I going to, and it's analyze, trying to be like 10 steps ahead. Well, that would be a chess master. I'm only like four, right? But
Yeah.
you want to see if I do this, what's the reaction, right? What's this? What's that? So look, impulsivity is great in business, and being spontaneous and being able to adapt and make changes, right? Quickly, that is good. But when you do that, you've got to also analyze. Well, don't overanalyze either, right? Because that's like procrastinating. And if you do that too much, you're going to be stuck in analysis mode. Don't do that. Take your chances. But what if I'm wrong? You got to adapt quickly. You got to have some little backup plans. Look, I have two adult daughters, and they're adults, but they still dream of things, and I always push them forward, and I always support whatever crazy ideas. Like my daughter last night, she's a she's in social health, mental health. She
Mhm.
works in New York for a big hospital, and so I got her a little DJ set, right? And
Mhm.
she FaceTimes me from New York. Yes, Dad, you got to watch this, right? And I'm sitting there. I was actually recording this for 9 minutes. I don't know what I was watching, right? But
Mhm.
the fact that at her age she's just doing this, I mean, it's great. Do it, right? Whatever it is. And if she doesn't want to do social health anymore and become a famous DJ, knock yourself out if that's what your passion is. But have a backup plan if it doesn't. So that's just little examples. Look, what I tell business owners, the same thing I do in life and my family, and positivity is important. Like, we have way
Mhm.
too much negativity. People will try to tear every idea you have down. I mean, very few people will actually be happy for you if you succeed.
Mhm.
So limit your conversation to people that you can identify that really want you to do well, that are going to support you and give you an honest answer. Right? We don't get that a lot. We know the haters are out there. They're gonna hate. They're
Mhm.
gonna love to hate if we fail, right? But
Mhm.
there's very few people. So I also say that success and money likes quiet, right?
Mhm.
So the more successful you are, the more quiet you need to be about it. You need to be more humble, right? Don't wear it on your forehead. Oh, I sold 900 cups of coffee yesterday, right? Don't do that. Get to 1,800 cups and be quiet about it, right?
Yeah.
And the more you can help people along the way that are new or starting, man, it's such a good feeling when someone succeeds. Like, I've always said it all my life. I hope everybody I know is twice as rich as I am, and twice as famous, and twice as better than I am, right? So
Yeah.
I have room to go. I'm always chasing something, right? So look, there's keep people real around you as well, right? Like,
Yeah.
your circle of, look, friends, that's a big word. I don't know how many friends we really have, but keep the people, especially if it comes to business, try to align yourself with people that will help you grow. If people are constantly critiquing everything you're doing, that's probably because people have to give you both, right? They have to say, okay, this is good, this is not so good, right? But so you have to find a balance, because if we're always saying this is no good, this is no good, that's not the right person. There's got to be something good in what you're planning and doing, right? Everybody has something good. It might not be all of it, but there's always something. And so find the people that can identify around you that, oh, this is a really good idea, Gresh. I like this, right?
Yeah.
So, and look, I'm looking at your board, create, collect, visibility,
Yeah.
look, there's a lot of those things out there in this world, like
Mhm.
tools. People
Yeah.
use tools, right? And
Yeah.
what works for Gresh, create, collect, visibility, whatever else you've got there on that board, that's your blueprint, right?
Right.
That's your blueprint every day. I might have a different blueprint. Everybody
Right.
has to find their own blueprint, right? So
Yeah.
back to FunKite. Um, Look, we've been doing this. In May, it will be 9 years.
Mhm.
It's not easy. It's definitely not easy what we do. There's a lot of challenges, but and we're not the only ones in this market. So again, if you're looking for money, you need to shop around. It's like you're shopping around for a car. There's a lot of providers out there. There's a lot of competition in our space. Find what works best for you. Find the one that you have a better relationship with. Don't get confused about the middleman. So there's a lot of brokers in this industry. Make sure you're speaking to someone that is credible, that you can easily online identify who they are, because like in every finance business, there's a lot of characters, so to say. So make sure you're dealing with someone credible. They tell you up front all of the terms, the conditions, ask questions. Listen, taking money is easy. It's paying it back that's always difficult, right? So
Yeah.
make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into, how will the repayments work. Make sure the company's credible. What happens if I run into a bad couple of weeks? So at FundKite, we adjust those payments so that if the
Got
sales
it.
are down, we have sometimes business owners they got to close down for 2 weeks. They had a flood. Okay, it's like, okay, no problem. You don't have any sales. You don't make any payments. So make sure that you understand that.
Let me
Again,
ask
I'm
you.
gonna. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because part of like that sounds like right, very much so aligned into what you were talking about. I call it the CEO hack, which is the habit or book or software, whatever you lean on to make you more effective and efficient. You talked about the planning in those aspects. I feel like that aligns exactly with what you all do, like being able to kind of create those plans to make sure that you're successful. Do you feel like that's something that is maybe under appreciated or valued in entrepreneurship, something that you lean on that has made you more effective and efficient, being able to kind of be that chess player, so to speak, in business?
Uh, I can't, I don't know how to answer that. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what the secret sauce really is. I
Mm-hmm.
just can't define it. I can't say because I do this, this is working. I
Mm-hmm.
can't. Now, look, there's a lot of brilliant people out there that will tell you I do this every day and this seems to work. For
Mm-hmm.
me, it's a lot of different things that we do. So
Mm-hmm.
there's no daily ritual that I do in business
Mm-hmm.
that makes sure, because look, the nuances every day they change, right?
Right.
We had a company yesterday that we're underwriting right now that's a $60 million public relations and marketing company that needs funding, right?
Mm-hmm.
This morning a recycling company came in that we were talking about with the under it you know public relations and marketing and a recycling company. I mean, these are like, you know, two crazy spectrums of the world, right? Like crazy
Right.
different. So I will tell you what my probably a part of my secret sauce is. It's the ability to quickly adapt to what's going on right now,
Mm-hmm.
right? The the ability to change when I need to change and refocus.
Yeah.
And that's something that business owners need to do, because you're not just making that cup of coffee, you're dealing with customers, supply chain, the landlord, insurance companies. Oh my God, I have no more sweet. It's the ability, and I'm using a coffee shop. It's not easy to have a successful coffee shop, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you're just pouring coffee, right? And the same way, let me go back a step and let's talk about restaurants, right?
Mm-hmm.
People don't often understand the importance of busboys and waiters. To
Mm-hmm.
me, they are just as important as the chef making the meal,
Yeah.
right? I treat them equally with the same respect as I treat the chef. Why? Right? Because that guy, man, if he brings that food 10 minutes later, it's cold. Don't matter how good the chef was, you're going to hate the food, right? Every piece of a restaurant, the people that greet you at the front door and tell you goodbye, right? It's all
Interconnected.
pieces of this really big puzzle to make it work. So, and that's in every business. I mean, how many experiences we had where we go to a business just because they're successful, they're obnoxious and rude, or some
Yeah.
really happening restaurant that you can't get a reservation and they're obnoxious too. I've seen those fail, right?
Yeah.
You can only ride that wave for so long before people get really, people remember. We have memories, right? You do wrong, we're going to remember. We're not going to come back to your place, right?
Yeah.
And that's hard, customer service for entrepreneurs, because you're managing all these things to still have a smile and be happy every day. And that I try to do. Like, I always joke around with my team. I goof around. I try to lighten up the day, because man, it gets intense. I'm sure for you, you're on a schedule. You're doing these, podcasts all the time, different people. It's so, yeah. It's God.
It makes it.
I don't know. I've been, I've had Force Publishing reach out to write a book, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not a good writer. I'm good with numbers. I'm not a
Yeah.
writer. I can speak, but I can't write. And they're like, oh, we'll get you a writer. I don't know what story to share yet. I don't think I'm there in life yet to share a story. I'm more than happy to talk to people, guide them,
Yeah.
and break it down. But I don't have all the chapters figured out in my own mind. And I'm 55 and I don't have it figured out. And people at 40 that are, doing these tours and charging $500 for you to come listen to them, they figured it all out. Man, if you figured it out, you'd be making billions of dollars, not trying to charge some poor person $300 to tell them how to live life. I mean, that's all BS to me. But
Yeah.
again, maybe there are some good guys there. I shouldn't discredit everyone, but
Yeah, but let me ask you this because that made me think about we call it a CEO nugget, which is a piece of advice you might give to a client. But I want to ask you from the time machine perspective. If you were to hop into a time machine, what might you tell your younger business self? What piece of advice would you say this is the thing that you should know?
again, it depending on what field they're in or what they're trying to do. Like,
Mhm.
because
What about you though? If you were to tell yourself something,
to go back in the time machine.
yeah.
So I'm a high school grad. I
Hmm.
never went to college, so time machine, go to college for
Hmm.
sure, right? Not because I need a diploma on my wall. People always ask me, what degrees do you have? Oh, I have a few PhDs, MBAs, and they all work for me, right? So
Hmm.
that's not important for the wall. So being to say, oh, I went to this school. I mean, unless you make friends there that become somebody important, that's irrelevant. It's the knowledge. It's the knowledge. So I had to acquire a lot of this knowledge hands on, so time machine, go back to school, and go to college and take that time because I felt like I got to get into business and hustle and make money. And
Hmm.
college is going to be a roadblock. Why am I going to waste 4 years going back? I wish I did that. So I had to learn that. I had to learn all those things the hard way, right? I talk to people all the time that I consider way, way smarter than me, more knowledgeable professors, finance people. And I pick their brain and I listen. I ask a question, I listen. And man, sometimes they use words I don't even understand. Like I have to go home later and like, what the hell was that word? I got to Google it. So
Yeah.
that's part of the time machine. The other thing the time machine, I do want to say is that if I look back, I should have spent more time trying to enjoy life,
Hmm.
right? So to have a sanity as a good entrepreneur, you have to have balance. We get caught up in our everyday hustle, and we don't spend enough time, um, you know, balancing it out. And I'm trying to do more and more of this now. But when you're at 55, I'm like, oh my God, the last 30 years, I identify as a workaholic. I meant you miss out on a lot, right? And so success at the end, you're going to look at success, and it's not just going to be about what you did in business. It's going to be, I successfully, climbed a hill, right?
Yeah.
I successfully did 20 miles on a bike in 30 minutes. Things that those are, I think, are important. So balance. I tell entrepreneurs because, man, your mind's always going like, I got to do this, I got to do that. Balance. Take care of yourself. Be kind. Like, you need some TLC, and you got to give yourself some TLC, right?
Yeah. Well, this
Because nobody
saying,
can. Our families try. My family's always like, well,
yeah.
Dad, like, or my wife, do this, relax, do this. No, I got it's Saturday. I'm going to the office 8 o'clock in the morning, and Saturdays and Sundays are good days for me because most of the staff is not here, so I
Okay.
can do things uninterrupted. But yeah, take care of yourself. Take care.
Yeah.
Be hard on yourself, but also pat yourself on the back sometimes.
Yeah.
It's
That's
important.
powerful. I love that. The saying is you can't pour from an empty cup. And I think that's so important to make sure that
Yeah.
you are pouring in that cup in the different ways so that you can continue to be even more impactful than you were. So let me ask you now my absolute favorite question, the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And our goal is to have different quote unquote CEOs on the show. So Alex, what does being a CEO mean to you?
Most important, be able to understand the team you've built, right? You're only as good as your team. So build the team that you need. Not always build the team that you want. Build the team that you need. Understand the team. Listen to them. Um, be able to control the narrative of the company where you're trying to go, right? Have fun. Make it fun. Make work also a fun environment, right? Um, yeah, that's probably where I do well with my team. I make it easy for them to come to me. But listen, there are times when I need to kick ass because that's what we CEOs do because we're thinking about everybody's livelihoods here, right?
Yeah.
whereas an employee is only thinking about. So yeah, look, enjoy what you do. Being a good CEO means you got to enjoy what to do. I don't wear any badges. CEO means nothing. It's just that title means I gotta find the right way to break down CEO, right? Because it's not chief executive officer. It's more like, you're a slave to this company, right? You really are, right? Because you got so much on your shoulders. You have to look out for employees, for your product, for everything that you do. And so, look, I know some CEOs that work 6 8 hours a week, and because I guess they've been able to build a company to that point where it's a title only. I'm a very involved, day to day, active operative. So that's my thing. And I don't know how you can run a company not doing that, right? Like I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Even though the bigger you get, you get really good people that like take on these things, but still, if you, especially in finance or in any business, right? The minute you start to take your hand off the pulse and chill a little too much, you start to really get chilled out, right? So I think you have to, as a good CEO, you have to be involved, have your hand on the pulse, and stay with it. And look, the bigger the company grows, the more problems you have, right?
Yeah.
The more tasks, the more departments that it's hard to keep track of it. So having a good team, trust your team, build a team you trust, hire people you can afford, but hire people that really understand what they're doing. Interviews don't mean anything, right? I mean, in every interview, everybody's great, and then you hire them, and 2 weeks later, like, what the hell did I do? Like, so spend more time getting to know the person you're trying to hire, as opposed to how great there's like a lot of gimmicks at interviews that people can do fly colors in the interview, right? I
Yeah.
ask like the craziest questions on interviews, right? And so I remember one of my New York offices, it was in a smaller building, and there was 12 floors in that building, right?
Mhm.
And I would ask, "Are you detail oriented?" Yes. Did you see how many floors there are in this building? Right? And somebody would say, "Oh yeah, 15." Right? Like these little things. And the honest answer is, I don't know. No, I
Yeah.
didn't look at how many. I know we're on floor 7, but and
Right.
so I ask questions because I want to see if a person's going to be honest with me. They're going to be
Mhm.
straightforward instead of trying to, interviews is like selling, right? You're trying to sell
Right.
yourself
Right.
to the company. Don't so those are things you need to weed out. It's not like, oh, did you do this before, how did you do it, stuff like that. There's two reasons why people look for a job. One, because they want to make more money, and the company they're at now is they're not good enough to make more money, or there's just no position like that. Or
Mhm.
two, they got canned, right? Or
Yeah.
three, they're out of college and they know everything, and they're here to teach you how to run your business, right? So, so that's the thing. So you got to remember that. Why is this person looking for a job? Look, people do get laid off. Things happen. And I'm not saying every interview is a bad interview, but identify that the person you're interviewing is really here for the right reason, right?
Yeah,
So
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and
yeah,
being able to understand that environment is such a huge thing. And I love that kind of perspective on being a CEO, understanding, how
CEO with
impactful
a
the
bad
team is.
habit who's vaping, that's terrible, right?
There you go. There you go. Well, Alex, truly appreciate that definition. Of course, I appreciate your time even more. So, what I want to do now is pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional that you can let our readers and listeners know. And of course, how best people can get a hold of you, find about all the awesome things you and your team are working on.
Yeah, so our company's called FundKite, fundkite.com. You're welcome to go take a look there. I try to keep my like Instagram personal. So I have an Instagram, but it's private because I don't know what to put up there. I'm not walking around making reels of my everyday life. But look, I just want to end with this. Don't give up on your dreams, no matter how hard they are, right? Just keep trying to open those doors, break those doors down. It will work at some point. Don't give up, right? And I'll tell you, every failure that you're going to go through is going to build you. It's going to make you better. So don't give up. Live your dreams. Try. Crazy world we live in. Economies all over the place. Inflation. Who knows? With all these wars, we're probably going to be paying like $9 a gallon of gas in a few weeks. It's going to be harder to get around. Don't give up. That's all I got to tell you. Don't give up, but be able to identify and admit when you're wrong. That's okay. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to fail. So I want everyone to do well, kick ass, and attain your goals, your dreams, man. The only place where we can, and I've been all over the world, the only place where we can do it is in the United States of America. Our dreams come true here. So I hope all your dreams, whoever's listening, I hope all your dreams come true, even if you fall a lot of times on the way.
Absolutely. Well, I truly appreciate that, Alex. Of course, to make everything easier, we're going to have the links and information in the show notes as well, too, so that everybody can follow up with you, find out about all the awesome things you and your team are working on, if they need funding, any of those things as well, too. But truly appreciate that last point. Appreciate all the awesome things that you're doing. I think so many times I say it's important to know what you do, but it's probably even more important to know why you do it. So knowing the mission, the vision, the dreams, all those things and how they manifest themselves in the business and what people do, the decisions that they make is huge. So thank you so much for fueling so many of those dreams and giving us so much information and knowledge today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.